Right, hi everyone. So today we are going to be looking at fractions in this lesson. So we'll be doing three things. We're going to be looking at what a fraction is, defining a fraction. We're going to be looking at equivalent fractions, which means the same. Equivalent means the same. Fractions that are the same as one another. And we're going to be finding parts of a whole number. So let's get started. So here we have a fraction. 4 on the top and a 9 on the bottom. So these numbers in fractions have names. This number on the top is called a numerator, and that shows how many parts that we want. And the denominator, the number at the bottom, shows how many parts there are in total. So imagine we are talking about a pizza. We're splitting a pizza into this fraction. The denominator shows how many pieces we're cutting the pizza into. So imagine we've got a whole pizza, we cut it into 9 slices, and then the number at the top shows how many slices, say, that we eat. And we're going to be talking about pizza a lot in this lesson. So there's pizza. Here we go. So let's say we split this pizza into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slices. Then we eat 2 of them. We eat these 2 slices. What fraction of the pizza have we eaten? We have eaten 2 out of the 5, or 2/5, because here in the whole pizza we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slices, and we've eaten 2 of them. We have eaten 2/5 of the pizza. Take the same pizza again, but this time we're going to cut it into 5, but we are going to eat 4 of those slices. So here again we had a pizza that was still with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces in total, but we've eaten these ones here. We have eaten 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 5 pieces there were in total. So let's do a couple more with this. Here we've got a pizza and we've cut it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slices. And we've eaten this many. So 8 is going to be the number on the bottom of the fraction, and we've eaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have eaten 5 out of the 8 slices of pizza. Again, a pizza cut into 8. This time we eat 3. 1, 2, 3 out of the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've eaten 3 out of the 8 slices, so it would look like this. So here we are with some more basic shapes. This is a half, or 1 out of the 2. One side is coloured in out of the 2 halves that there are. Here we've got 1 piece coloured in out of the 1, 2, 3 pieces that there are. This would be called a third. This one here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections in total, and we've coloured in 1 of them, so it would be a quarter. 1/4, or 1/4. This one here, again, we've got a shape that's been split into 4 parts, but this time 3 of them have been coloured in. So we would have 3 quarters, 3/4. Another shape with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, and 1 of those sections has been coloured in. So we have 1/5, or 1/5. And finally, the shape here that's been cut into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. 1 of them has been coloured in, so it would be 1/10, or 1/10. So here are some shapes for you guys. What I'd like you to do is to pause the video and have a go at writing down what fractions of these shapes have been coloured in. Remember to count the total number of slices first. That's the number that goes on the bottom. And then how many are coloured in is your number on the top. So pause the video now. So hopefully you've had a chance to look at those now. So let's have a look at the answers. If you haven't written all the answers down, pause it before I go on. So our first shape here, we had 1/3, because 1 was coloured in out of the 3 pieces that there are. Let's look at the rest. The second one here is 1/5, or 1/5. 2/3 or 2/3, 3/5 or 3/5, 3/8 or 3/8, 2/4, because it's 2 out of 4 pieces, 5/8, we have 5 coloured in out of 8 pieces, or 3/4 at the end, or 3/4, because we have 3 pieces coloured in out of the whole 4 that there are. So now let's look at equivalent fractions. So equivalent just means the same. Equivalent fractions are fractions that are written differently but mean the same thing. So here we've got a pizza. That's again, we're back to pizza. We've got a pizza, and imagine we've cut it down the middle. We've halved it. We've got one piece here and one piece here. We've halved this pizza, but we can write this another way. So here we have another pizza, and this time it's been cut into quarters. Here we've got 4 slices, but here 2 are coloured in pink. So we have 2/4. Again, we can split this pizza into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But if you still eat this side, you still eat in the same amount. So 4/8, these fractions are all the same. Even though they're written differently, they still mean the same thing. If you cut a pizza into halves and eat this side, you've eaten a half. If you cut it into quarters and eat 2 of them, you've still eaten the equivalent of a half. And if you cut it into 8ths but eat 4 of them, you've still eaten the equivalent of a half. You'll notice that the number on the top here is half the number on the bottom. And again, 2 is half of 4, 4 is half of 8. So here we go. So we've got some equivalent fractions again. So if you want to make up your own equivalent fractions, whatever you do to the top of the fraction, you have to do to the bottom of the fraction. So if you want to find an equivalent fraction of a half, you can multiply the top and the bottom by any number, and you will get an equivalent fraction. Half, 2/4. Let's multiply it by 3 this time. Remember that you've got to, whatever you do at the top, you've got to do to the bottom. You're going to multiply by 3. We get 6/12. Now, even though it's written totally differently, it still means the same thing. 6/12 is exactly the same as 1/2. But remember, to make equivalent fractions, we must multiply both numbers by the same number. If you multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 3, you aren't going to get the same fraction. Whatever you do at the top, you do to the bottom. Use the same numbers. So have a little look at this one. 1/3. What equivalent fractions can you make from there? Remember, whatever you multiply the top by, you have to multiply the bottom by. Right. Now we've done that, let's look at working the other way. So here we've got a fraction, 16/40, which is quite a complicated fraction. It's a big set of numbers to think about in your head. We're going to look at this and see if we can make it smaller. So we're going to divide the top by 4. And remember, whatever we do to the top, we do to the bottom. You'll notice that each of these numbers are both in the 4 times table, which is why we can divide by 4. So if we divide by 4, we get 4/10. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 40 divided by 4 is 10. We can go further though. We can make it a bit smaller. We can't divide them by 4 anymore because 10 isn't in the 4 times table, but these are both in the 2 times table. So let's divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, and that gives us 2/5. And that is the smallest number we can make because there isn't a times table apart from the 1 times table that has these 2 numbers in it. To make equivalent fractions, you must divide both numbers by the same number. It simplifies them. So again, let's pause the video and see if you can simplify these fractions. What you want to do is have a look to see which times tables these numbers fit into. Which times table do both 16 and 24 appear in? Have a think about that, then you can divide them. See if you can make the smallest equivalent fraction. Pause the video now and then we'll look at some answers. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the answers to this question. So number 1, 16 over 24, this fraction here. You can simplify that down. Now, both of these numbers are in the 2 times table. So if you notice they were both in the 2 times table, you can divide them both by 2 to get 8 over 12. You can then divide by 2 again to get 4 over 6, and divide by 2 again to get 2 over 3. Another way you could have done that is notice that they are both in the 4 times table. 16 and 24 are both in the 4 times table. So you can divide them both by 4 to get 4 over 6, and then divide that by 2 to get 2 over 3. You can also divide by 8 because both of these numbers are in the 8 times table. And if you divide them both by 8, you get 16 divided by 8 is 2, 24 divided by 8 is 3. Let's have a look at the next one. So you should have got 7 over 15. A couple of ways you could have done that. You could have divided by 2 to get 14 over 30, and then divide it over 2 again to get 7 over 15. Or you could have noticed that they are both in the 4 times table. 28 divided by 4 is 7, and 60 divided by 4 is 15. 7 over 15 is the smallest fraction you can make there. Now the next two, much harder, so well done if you give these a go. The first one, 12 over 25, you can divide it by 2 and then divide it by 3. And the last one, 5 over 11. They are both in the 11 times table. 55 divided by 11 is 5. 121 divided by 11 is 11. So how does this apply in real life? What is the point of fractions? Well, let's say you've gone out for coffee with some friends and the bill has come to £30. Now there were 6 of you. 6 of you went out and you need to find how to split that bill. So the best way to do that is we need to split this £30 into 6 parts, or divide it by 6, and that is going to tell us how much one part is. So if you do 30 divided by 6, you're going to get £5, and that's how much each person would pay if 6 people went to a restaurant and split a bill of £30. We take the number and divide it by the bottom of the fraction to give us one of those pieces. So that is £5. So that is step 1, you divide by the denominator. But what if it's more? What if the number on the top is more than 1? This time we want to find 2/3 of 48. Now imagine 3 friends go out for dinner and the total bill comes to £48. How much will 2 of them pay? What we need to do again is split it into 3 parts and then find out how much 2 of those parts are. So we're going to divide by the bottom number. First, 48 divided by 3 is 16, which is going to give us one of these parts. So we now know that each one of these parts is £16, but how much is 2 of them? The next step is to multiply by the top of the fraction, and that will give you £32. So to recap that one, divide by the bottom, 48 divided by 3 is 16, and then multiply 16 by 2 to get 32. Multiply by the numerator, the number on the top. So here we go, and let's have a look at another one. Find 3/5 of £60. So step 1, we divide by the bottom number, the denominator, and then we multiply by the top. Now this is the really important bit. If you can remember these 2 steps, you're going to be able to work out fractions of any number. So we take our number, step 1, we divide by the bottom and then multiply by the top. And the answer to that would be 60 divided by 5 and then multiplied by 3 gives us 36. 3/5 of 60 is 36. Now I'd like you to have a go at this. We're going to find fractions of this number here in the middle, 240. I'd like you to find a half, quarter, 1/3, and 3/4 to begin with. Then I'd like you to give these other ones a go. So if you pause the video, you can write these down on your phone, you can write them down on a piece of paper, whatever you have. I'd like you to find all of these fractions of this number, remembering our rule: divide by the bottom and then multiply by the top. Pause the video now. Right then, hopefully you've got answers to all of these questions. So let's have a look at some answers now. Got 120 for a half. A quarter comes to 60. A third is 80. And 3/4 is 180. So let's have a look at the rest now. 296, 140, 60, 150, and 15. There are our answers there. So if you got those, brilliant, well done. If not, if you want a little bit more work, you can pick your own number. Remember, in the middle, you can change this number to anything and find those fractions of it. Remember that you divide by the bottom and multiply by the top. So let's do a little recap of what we've looked at in this lesson. So we've looked at the names of the parts of the fraction, the numerator and the denominator, the number at the top showing how many parts you want, and the denominator, the number that you divide by to find that one part. We've looked at equivalent fractions, how 1/2, 2/4, and 4/8 are the same thing. And we've looked at finding 2/7 of 70, which is 20, because 70 divided by 7, which is 10, multiplied by 2 gives us 20. So if there's anything you'd like to talk about from this lesson, you can message us on Slack. If there's anything you're confused about or want to talk about, and there'll be some worksheets for you as well. Thanks for watching, you guys.